All right, curious ants, welcome. This week, we're kicking off a journey that is seriously going to change the value you bring to your clients. We're going to move way beyond just building websites. We're learning how to become data-driven strategists. Now, it all starts with getting Google Analytics certified, sure. But really, this is about transforming your entire role. So, let's dive in.
You know this moment. We've all been there. Weeks, maybe months of hard work, the perfect website goes live, and the client is super happy. But here's the thing. Our job isn't really done, is it? The launch is just the starting line. The real question, the one that really defines your value long-term, is the one every single client has. Okay, now what?
You see, without data, your client is basically flying blind. They've got this beautiful, amazing asset that you built for them, but they have no clue who's actually visiting, where they're coming from, or what in the world they're doing on the site. They can't see the customer journey at all. Are people finding the site in the first place? Are they clicking around? Are they actually turning into customers? Right now, it's just a complete mystery.
Now, we can simplify this whole journey into a classic marketing funnel, and this is the framework you're going to use as a strategist. It all starts with acquisition. How do we get people to the site? Then comes engagement. What do they do once they're there? And finally, the big one, monetization. How do we turn all that traffic into actual business? Believe me, every single client, no matter what they do, fits this model.
And this is where we get to the solution. If your client is in a dark room, just kind of fumbling around trying to figure out their customers, well, digital analytics is the light switch. It just illuminates every single step of that funnel, and it replaces all that guesswork with real, hard data.
And this is why we're all here. This isn't just about learning some new tool. It's about gaining a superpower. It's the ability to use data to answer your client's most important questions and to actually guide their strategy. This skill, right here, is what will set you apart and elevate your value more than anything else.
So let's just get a crystal clear definition on the table. Digital analytics. It's the process of collecting and analyzing data from places like websites and apps. But here's the key thing to remember. It's not really about the data itself. The goal is always to understand what your users are doing so that you and your client can make smarter business decisions. That's it.
Okay, that all sounds great, right? But where do you practice? You can't just start experimenting on a live client website, can you? I mean, that would be a total nightmare. Thankfully, Google has given us the perfect, risk-free sandbox to play in.
I want you to meet the Google Analytics demo account. This is our playground. It's a completely functional GA account, and it's packed with real data from two live businesses, the Google Merchandise Store, which is an e-commerce site, and Floodit, a mobile app. You can pull any report, you can test every single feature, all without that fear of breaking a real client's website.
And this is not some static old data. It's live. I mean, right now, as I'm recording this, the demo account shows there are 115 active users on the Google Merchandise Store, just in the last 30 minutes. You can log in any time of day and see this for yourself, which makes learning so much more real.
Okay, so before we can start analyzing any data, we have to actually collect it. And that all begins with understanding how a Google Analytics account is structured. I want you to think of this less like a setup chore and more like you're designing the architecture for your client's data engine. Getting this right from the very beginning is absolutely critical. The structure is actually a pretty simple three-level hierarchy. So at the very top, you have the account, which represents the entire business. Then inside that, you have properties, and you can think of these as the brand's website or its app. And finally, feeding data into each property are one or more data streams. And here is a really key concept in GA4. A single property can pull in data from a bunch of different sources. So if your client has a website, an iOS app, and an Android app, you can set up 3 different data streams that all feed into one unified property. This gives them a complete 360-degree view of their customer across every single platform. So we've got the structure figured out, but how do we actually get the data from a website into that data stream? This is where you, as web developers, really come in. It all happens through this tiny piece of code called a tag. We literally need to flip the switch to get that data flowing.
For most WordPress sites, you've really got 2 options. There's the basic way, which is just using a plugin and pasting in your measurement ID. It's easy, yeah, but it's also very limited. Then there's the pro way, the method a real strategist uses, and that's using Google Tag Manager. Just think of it like a central container, a command center, for all the tracking tags your client will ever need.
So why should you go pro? Well, speed, for one. GTM loads tags in a way that doesn't slow down your site.
Then there's consolidation. You can manage Facebook pixels, Google Ads tags, you name it, all in one dashboard. And here's the big one, control. Once GTM is installed, you or your client can add or edit tracking tags without ever having to touch the website's code again. This is a massive, massive value add for them.
And just to round out your knowledge here, you should know the process is different for mobile apps. Instead of a website tag, app developers use a piece of code called the Firebase SDK. That stands for Software Development Kit, to send data to Google Analytics. You don't need to be an expert in this, but just knowing the distinction makes you a more well-rounded strategist.
So after you've set up your tag, how do you know you actually did it right? Well, the easiest way by far is to just check the real-time report in Google Analytics. Go visit the website yourself, and then within about 30 seconds, you should see your own visit pop up right there in that report. It's like an instant confirmation that data is flowing just like it should.
Okay, we've built the structure, we've got data flowing. The final piece of the puzzle for this week is learning to speak the language of analytics. This is how you're going to take all of that raw data and turn it into a compelling story of value for your clients.
Everything, and I mean everything, in Google Analytics 4 is built on one simple concept, the event. An event is just any interaction that you can measure. A user visiting a page? That's an event. Clicking a button? That's an event. Submitting a form? You guessed it, it's an event. It is the fundamental building block of all your data.
And to make sense of all these events, every single report uses two things, dimensions and metrics. It's actually really simple. Dimensions describe your data. They answer the who, what, or where questions, and they're usually text. Think country or device type. Then you have metrics. Metrics measure your data. They answer how many, and they are always numbers, like users or purchases. So you combine them. The dimension country with the metric users tells you how many users came from each country. See how that works?
And really, this is what it all comes down to. When you start combining dimensions and metrics, you can finally answer your client's most important questions. Who is visiting the site? What content do they actually care about? And most critically, how many of them are taking the actions that actually grow the business? Mastering this is our goal, and we are going to get there together. Let's get to work.